What most people call Bastille Day isn't really about a prison being stormed. It's about what a nation decided to remember and what it chose to quietly forget. Every July, fireworks bloom over the Seine. Tricolor flags line the boulevards, and the world calls it France's 4th of July. A revolution celebrated with cake and color. But that comparison collapses the moment you look closely. Because the holiday France actually celebrates on the 14th of July isn't one event. It's two, stitched together a century apart by a republic that needed a story sturdy enough to hold a nation together. And in 2026, that stitching shows again. Paris has moved its fireworks, its concerts, its fire station balls to the night of July 13th. Why? Because July 14th, 2026, marks 10 years since a truck was driven into a Bastille Day crowd in Nice, killing 86 people who had gathered that very evening to watch the fireworks. The military parade on the Champs-Élysées still marches on July 14th, but the celebration itself has stepped aside just for 1 year to make room for grief. It's a small, telling moment, because renegotiating what this day means is, it turns out, the oldest tradition Bastille Day has. To understand why, we have to go back to where the story usually starts. July 14th, 1789, and a fortress called the Bastille. By 1789, the Bastille was almost a relic. 8 towers, a moat, walls 5 feet thick, built to hold state prisoners the king wished to imprison without trial. But on the day it fell, it held just 7 inmates, 4 forgers, 2 men judged mentally unwell, and 1 aristocrat locked up partly at his own family's request. There was no dungeon full of political martyrs waiting to be freed. That image is myth. So why did armed Parisians march on it? Gunpowder, muskets, rumors that royal troops were closing in to crush the new National Assembly. The crowd wanted weapons, not liberation. Negotiations with the governor, Bernard René de Launay, broke down. His garrison opened fire. Chaos followed, and when the vastly outnumbered defenders finally surrendered, Launay was dragged into the street and killed, his head raised on a pike through the city. Practically, almost nothing changed. The king's power wasn't broken that afternoon. But symbolically, everything changed. For the first time, the crowd, not the crown, had decided how a conflict in Paris would end. That's why the Bastille's fall became the revolution's founding myth. Not because of what was inside the fortress, but because of what its fall proved was possible outside it. Here's the twist most people never hear. Just 1 year later, on that very same date, Paris held a completely different kind of gathering. No mobs, no muskets. On July 14th, 1790, roughly 300,000 people filled the Champ de Mars for the Fête de la Fédération. Delegates, National Guardsmen, representatives from every French province, standing together in the presence of King Louis XVI himself. They swore an oath to the nation, to the law, and to the king. It was orderly, aspirational, even monarchist compatible. A vision of a reformed France binding itself together by choice, not by force. Think about that for a moment. The same man who would be executed within the decade stood at the center of a ritual celebrating unity under the revolution. One date, 2 entirely different nations, imagined a year apart. For nearly 100 years, these 2 July 14ths simply coexisted, unclaimed, unreconciled, waiting for someone to decide which one France actually was. That decision came in 1880, under the Third Republic, and it was a masterstroke of political design. A deputy named Benjamin Raspail proposed July 14th as France's official national holiday. Here's the part worth pausing on. The law, passed that July, never says which event it commemorates. Not the storming, not the Fédération. One sentence, deliberately vague. The Republic adopts July 14th as the annual national holiday day. Nothing more. That ambiguity wasn't an oversight. It was the point. Republicans could invoke 1789 to claim revolutionary legitimacy, breaking cleanly from absolutism. But they could just as easily gesture toward 1790, offering moderates and monarchist sympathizers a version of the day about unity, not upheaval. One date, two usable pasts, and a republic clever enough to need both. That's also why the military parade became the day's centerpiece, not a contradiction of it. Framed as the army embodying the nation itself, rather than force imposed upon it, the parade let France celebrate strength without glorifying violence. Which brings us to the gap that persists today. Ask someone outside France what Bastille Day means, and you'll likely hear French independence, a revolution, fireworks. Ask someone in France, and the answer sounds different. Le 14 juillet. The parade down the Champs-Élysées, the president presiding, fire station balls, concerts, a day of collective identity more than political rupture. The English-speaking world remembers the chaos of 1789. France commemorates it through the reconciling lens of 1790, filtered again through the careful statecraft of 1880. So what does Bastille Day actually celebrate? Not a prison falling, not simply a revolution. It celebrates a nation's decision about which of its own stories to keep. Revolt and reconciliation, bound into a single date precisely because neither one alone could carry the weight of French identity. And that's really the deeper lesson here. Every national holiday is a choice about memory. What gets ritualized and what gets quietly left out. In 2026, as Paris shifts its fireworks by a single night to make space for remembering Nice, France is doing what it has always done on this date, deciding, once again, what belongs beneath the fireworks and what deserves a moment of silence instead. If you enjoyed uncovering the real story behind a holiday everyone thinks they already know, subscribe for more from Holiday Histories, where we keep pulling back the myth to find the history underneath.